Hey everyone, just let me know if you can hear me. You should be able to hear me. Hi everyone, good evening. This is stream number two. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know what I did, but something happened. Yes, welcome to AirBX. We just came up with that. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's stream. Thank you for being here. Um, Hi Varun. Hey Shreya. Cool. Okay, cool. So many of you might know what we're talking about today. So let's just get into it. Before that, let me just do a quick introduction for those of you who are here for the first time. I'm Sneha. I'm a designer. And on this channel, we'll talk about brand experience design. We'll talk about design in general, and maybe we'll talk about some other things. I think I make a pretty good salsa, and I hope someday I can share my secrets with the world. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, cool. So here we are. Amazing, amazing. Hello, everyone. What's up? What's up? Okay, cool. Yeah, so today let's talk about Indigo. If everyone can, I'm guessing most of you have traveled on an Indigo flight. If you haven't, let me know in the comments. I don't think there would be any of you, but I don't know. I could be really wrong. So, if any of you have not traveled in an IndiGo Airlines, drop it in the comments. Because if you have, you most likely have. Okay, so let's just say that those of you who haven't, yeah. So, I don't remember the first time I traveled in an IndiGo plane, airline, but I do remember every time I have chosen IndiGo over another airline, um, when they are close to the same price, or the timings are here and there, maybe not a huge difference, given that I have two somewhat equal choices, I always choose Indigo. And I want to talk about why that is. And I mentioned that as part of my thread today. For those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, okay. I wrote a thread today about Indigo Airlines. Um, how many of you have one of these boxes? I use mine to keep like vitamins and like medicines that I use that I need easily accessible. Um, but how many of you have one of these? And isn't it super useful? Um, so this thread basically we talk about how Indigo is one of the best examples of brand experience design in India, as far as I have seen. Yesterday, we spoke about Zomato. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm at Sneha Sanks. At Sneha Sanks. There we go. So, whoops, there it is. Sneha Snacks is what I've changed it to now, but my handle is still at Sneha Sanks. So you can find that. Yeah, so yesterday we spoke about Zomato, and today we spoke about Indigo, and both are phenomenal examples of brand experience design. Um, and how they have kind of created their own language, they've created their own following within their industry, and they are known in the industry for their amazing point of view with respect to their design and their brand. So, yeah, these are some great examples of how Indigo does it. Indigo has these great, hilarious, ads and hoardings and things like that. Leave your toothbrush behind because if you're returning back on the same day, you don't need the toothbrush. Okay, I'm not gonna explain each one of these. That would be stupid. But yeah, so these stickers for fragile stickers. There's another one which I couldn't find, which maybe some of you have seen, is for oversized luggage. It's a elephant sticker. Maybe you've seen that. My cat is trying to enter the room. Yeah, so the oversized luggage has an elephant on it, and it's just amazing. Then, then these are some more examples. No more red tape, uh, and because of the extra legroom, it's quite hilarious. Yeah, so these are some more great examples. There's another example of there's another version of this ramp which says from 35,000 feet. No, um, something like leading like above 35,000 feet or something like that. Basically, talking about how they're better than the competition 35,000 feet um, above the competition. So that's hilarious. Yeah, so that's what today, but that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me go back. All right. Yeah, speaking of, I want to come back to this. I have a really good example to something really cool to pull up that I want to show you guys. Yes, and this is a big part of um, Indigo and their brand experience design. The fact that their customer service is integrated as part of their experience and their brand experience. The clothes that the stewardesses wear, they're not like traditionally. You need to everyone. We need to understand what it was before which Indigo became somewhat the standard, and then a lot of other brands changed after Indigo. But till then, uh, airlines used to have this. Let's talk about India in specific. Airlines had this reputation of being like a first class, business class, and an economy class. And it was like a luxury experience. You get food. People didn't really like the food, people didn't really want it. Airlines were expensive. And then Indigo, amongst other domestic airlines, SpiceJet, Kingfisher. Kingfisher was one of the first in this category that they decided that they're going to remove all of these frills. They're going to remove meals. They're going to remove business class, first class. Just have one class. Keep it really straightforward because their thesis was that most people just want to get from A to B on a flight. They don't really care about all these other things that you're providing and charging them lots of money. As long as you take them from A to B safely, they're happy. Over and above that, if they want to buy food, they want to buy extra luggage, extra leg space, whatever, whatever, then you can additionally pay for that. So Indigo is part of this category of airlines. You should watch this documentary on Netflix called Dirty Money. Is it called? I don't remember. It's the one about Vijay Mallya and the story of Kingfisher. So that will give you an idea of how they're called low cost airlines, domestic low cost airlines in India, how that entire phenomena started, and then Indigo came along. So yeah, so let's just read some of the comments. Oh my God, a lot of you have not traveled on Indigo. Okay, okay, okay. Um, wow, that's very fascinating. Okay, then this is more interesting. I hope by this video you choose to travel on an Indigo flight, and then Indigo makes me like their brand experience design ambassador or something like that. I don't know, but I love Indigo purely because it is such a joy from when you enter the airport and then you see all of the blue, you see all of the great copy. It's really funny, it's really intelligent. The people are really nice, and every part of the experience feels like it was designed for the modern traveler, and it feels like they're not trying to overdo anything or underdo it. They just want you to get from A to B on time. So yeah, yes, big boy billionaires, bad boy billionaires, something, whatever, something like that. Basically, you get it. Just type Vijay Mallya on Netflix, you'll find it. So yeah, so we were talking about. Okay, so I also another fun question. No Google. If anyone can guess what the name of the font that Indigo uses, let's pull that up. IndiGo Airlines. IndiGo Airlines. This guy. If you can tell me what the name of this font is, that would be awesome. Whoa, what's happening? Yeah, there we go. This guy. It's very specific. It's a very, I'll give you a clue. It's a famous design movement. Um, yeah, that's it. We'll talk about that movement as well. But don't Google it. That's cheating. Uh, yeah, this is a big part of. So Indigo decided that they were going to provide you a really good, straightforward, no nonsense experience. They called it the no frills chic experience. And they decided that that's not going to be at the cost of having a good time or good design and a good brand experience. So, all at low cost. And they were able to do this because they cut out all these unnecessary things, food, like all the classes and all of that stuff. So, yeah, yeah. Also, that's another thing that Indigo did. They decided to start their own line of merch and things like that because they started to build such a loyal following around their brand that they decided to sell that on their in-flight duty free, in-flight shopping instead of random perfume and makeup and jewelry that no one really buys. Um, okay, I'm gonna not. So we have some Helvetica, we have a comic song, we have regular, we have circular, we have another Helvetica. We have one right answer, and I really want to know if this person Googled this, but okay, let's just pull that up. Shreyan, did you Google this, or was this an honest? Did you actually know this? If you knew it, amazing, kudos. So yeah, so the name of the typeface is ITC Bauhaus, and it's very fascinating if you know about the Bauhaus movement. And I don't know if so the people behind the Indigo brand are this agency called Wyden and Kennedy or WK. So I'm going to tell you a few random trivia facts one after the other about this. Hopefully you can stay this will make sense. So Wyden and Kennedy was the agency that first worked with Phil Knight on Nike. So a big part of the Nike brand was also created by Wyden and Kennedy in Portland. So the Nike factory and the Wyden and Kennedy agency, they both started together in Portland, and it was basically like a collaboration between two people, the Nike brand, just do it, blah blah blah. And the entire ethos of Nike was created between these two people. Of course, in the beginning, of course, a lot of other people contributed to it as the years went by, but uh, his name is just Wyden. Is it? Are they two people? No, there. David Kennedy and Dan Wyden. So yeah, so Portland, Oregon. There we go. So they're an advertising and brand agency, and like I said, they're famous for working with Nike. They've also worked um, with Apple, with Airbnb, with a lot of other amazing brands and companies. This particular film, maybe some of you have seen it. Let's just play a small clip, maybe. Theater mode. Okay. Technically
Wake up in the morning, all systems on go. Cause I got goals and I won't take no for an answer. Got the grace of a dancer, the heart of a panther. I don't understand you. It puts in your vocab, I cannot quote that. I want this so bad, I cannot go back.
Okay, you can just watch the whole thing. Yeah, so this was also done by Wyden and Kennedy in Delhi. So it's an amazing agency. They do great work. And they are the people behind the Indigo brand as well. where were we? Yeah, so they're part of the IndiGo brand. And where was their website? Ah, there we go. So this is some of the work that they've done. OnePlus, HDFC Life. Okay, this stuff is, I mean, this stuff you probably have seen on TV. You've probably seen some. That's why we Airbnb ads on like during the IPL or on TV. They're great ads. You should watch them as well. Really well done. A fun fact is all of the stories that they cover as part of this campaign in this ad, they're real people and they're real families or real like couples is their story. So that makes the ad so much more authentic, and it's a very nice campaign. You should check it out. So yeah, this is the Dada Ding campaign that I just showed you a clip about. You should check out. You should definitely watch the entire video. It's a really well made video, and it's so Nike. It's so well done. And yeah, amongst others is Indigo. They did the work on Indigo, and I don't know if some of you know there is this designer and artist called Hanif Qureshi. He was part of the team at Indigo to that designed the Indigo brand. So we were talking about ITC Bauhaus. So I don't know if this was the this was the idea behind the Wyden and Kennedy team for choosing Bauhaus as their brand typeface. Let me show you ITC Bauhaus. There we go. This is what it looks like. It's quite it's quite rounded and opinionated. It's not always very easy to read. So it's a curious choice, right? Especially for an airline, especially for something that you're probably going to see in really big sizes on a plane or on a billboard or something like that. Why choose a typeface like this? Now, here's my guess. I'm not really sure. This was the logic behind it. But a very interesting fact is that the Bauhaus movement, which is this really important design and art movement that happened in Germany right around the Nazi period, a little before that. Okay, it happened in 1919. It started then. Um, was this movement that kind of merged art and design, and it decided to the movement was all about creating utilitarian design and utilitarian art that wasn't very ornamental or very luxurious or like unnecessary. There was a lot of emphasis on function. There was a lot of emphasis on geometry, on shapes. There's a lot of merging of different disciplines. So architecture, design, art, pottery, typography, all of these different things, they were in one school together, which is the Bauhaus school. So the Bauhaus literally means like a house building, like that's what it translates to. And it was the school in Germany, in this place called Weimar, whatever. And then moved to Dessau. Dessau, the school is still in Dessau, by the way. It's like a museum and stuff, so it's really nice. And there's a design school that is next to this Bauhaus building. And a lot of design that you've probably seen. Kandinsky, for example, let me show you what Kandinsky's work is. You have probably seen some work by Kandinsky. This is his work. He's very famous for this kind of like sharp lines and shapes and things like that. So a lot of people were influenced by this Bauhaus movement. And I mentioned that the Bauhaus movement is about function. It emphasized art as function. And a big part of the Indigo brand is about mixing fun and function. We talked about how Indigo decided to emphasize its Indigo decided to emphasize that its experience and its low cost over all of these other frills. Where is it? There we go. Functionality. That's what I created today. Yeah, so form and function and fun, that kind of thing. So I don't know if that's the reason why Wyden and Kennedy and the Indigo team decided to go with ITC Bauhaus, but it's a very interesting choice because that typeface is about the Bauhaus, like it's called Bauhaus, and it's about that movement. And in many ways, Indigo and their brand experience is about function and fun as well. So this is a good example of how one should think about typography and how you choose type in your work and how you decide to tell good stories with your typography. I told you this entire story right now about Indigo and Bauhaus because of the history of Bauhaus and how that translated back into Indigo. As an average uh, traveler on an IndiGo airline, you probably don't know or care about these things, but there are a lot of um, there are a lot of subtle indicators that eventually make you feel a certain way, whether that's typography or color or whatever. It's a series, it's a not a series, but rather a combination of these experiences that you have had of different things about your experiences with color. There is a reason why red is the color of love. It's not like you woke up like you were born as a baby and then you immediately decided that red equals love or red equals danger, right? It is after a series of experiences that show you that red equals danger, there's a danger sign that is in the color red, that you start to make that association about red being a dangerous color. Similarly, if you were to see a lot of if you were to go back to this Bauhaus culture, you were to understand form and function and like, the Bauhaus movement and things like that, then to have that typeface be, um, it's called something, it's called like, I can't remember the right word, but basically it's like um, an homage. It's an homage to that particular movement and it's an homage to that time and what that movement represented. And Indigo represents that as well. So there's that connection over there. So that's a fun story that I wanted to tell you. Um, yeah, let's go back here. Okay, let's just read some of the comments. Yeah, it's Indigo. It's the G is capital in Indigo because it's emphasizing its promise to be on time. There's this thing that Indigo started called IST, which was Indigo Standard Time, which is so interesting because they decided to make a big part of their positioning about the fact that they're always on time and go. I mean, there's nothing better that symbolizes the fact that they're always on the go, they get you where you want, and you can be on the go and you can be on time wherever you want. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Circular fonts. Yeah, in some ways, yes, but in this particular case, the way in which ITC Bauhaus is designed, it's not very legible because that's not how a lot of letters naturally are. If we go back to that example, yeah, if you see the letter set here, no one writes B like this. No one writes A like this. I mean, some of the letters are fine, okay, but some of the letters are extremely, they're just very round and they're like unnecessary, especially at small sizes. Okay, let's look at this at a really small size. Oops, no, I can't do that. Okay, I'll show you a good example of what I mean. Indigo lean thing. Okay. So I saw this today. I saw this ad. Can you read anything that is written over here? I don't know what size this is meant to be printed at or whether it's a digital. I think it's a digital ad. No, it's a print ad because it has a QR code. So if it's a print ad, this is fine. You can read lean, clean, flying machine. Okay, fine, fine, fine. Can you read anything written here? I mean, you can if you try, but it's really quite hard. Yeah, so that way, it's not the most legible for sure, but it's there's no way that you can't recognize this particular font in this use, especially with the blue, as being indigo. Yeah, okay. Uh, exactly. It's hard to read when small. Yes, I do agree. And no, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, they've taken the decision. They do not have a secondary typeface. They use ITC Bauhaus in like their entire communication, in like all of their stuff. It's kind of weird. Um, yep. So that's that. I wanted to mention something else, which was, yes, we were talking about. Rushnara mentioned this, and I wanted to show you. So Indigo and Wyden Kennedy have won a bunch of awards for their work with Indigo as well. And this is an interesting thing that I thought of, which was, if you can read this text, this is not a biscuit tin, but something you can keep lots of small things in. Enjoy Indigo's second reusable can for the second time in aviation history. So this is after the tin case that they originally made. They decided to embrace it. It was first meant to be a nut case for cashew nuts or whatever, but they knew that being a stainless steel box that people would reuse it. They were like, why not embrace this and why not make it part of the experience? And this is a great example of that. Such It's so well designed. This is packaging for their kulcha, and they decided to take the standard green and red veg and non-veg packaging and put that in the design itself. Um, this is a burger, it seems. Sweet and spicy potato mixture filled with, okay, fine, it's a Da Blue burger is meant to be a pun on Da Bailey, which is quite hilarious. Yeah, so they won some awards in 2012. This is Hanif Qureshi that I mentioned. It's really great. Rishi Dev. All of these people are awesome. You should check them out. Really very talented people. Um, okay, so let's do some questions. Please feel free to shoot some questions in the comments. Um, yeah. Most recently, Indigo has decided to release this campaign. I was last year, so not that recent, maybe, called Lean Clean Flying Machine. So one of the they they have a bunch of different things that they are known for, like this no red tape, great copy basically. And one of the things they have is world India's coolest airline. And they also have this thing which was the lean flying machine. So lean again is a reference to the fact that they are no frills, no extra stuff. They're just, no nonsense, to the point. They decided to change after the lockdown, the first lockdown when flights reopened. They decided to like take a spin on that and do the lean clean flying machine. So they made a bunch of campaigns about this and about their safety protocols. And I saw this excellent ad which said that, let me find it. Lean. Oh, there was this. Uh, there was this one which basically said everything has been sanitized, including the pilot's aviator sunglasses, which I found really funny. It's like they're making jokes about themselves and their pilots, amongst other things. Yeah, so this is the most recent example of some excellent brand experience design. Uh, okay, yeah. Hanif Qureshi right now runs this non-profit called Start India Foundation, and they do great public art projects around India. You must have seen some if you've been to what is it called? It's called if you've been to Sassoon Docks or anywhere in Delhi, in Mumbai, in Bangalore, even in Chennai, Hyderabad. So they've done a lot of public art projects. You must have seen a lot of them. They're really good. This is a good question, Shreyangi. Why didn't they use a different font for smaller text? Is it necessary to stick to a single font? No, actually, it's not necessary, and it's a very, in my opinion, a very bold, maybe bad decision to do that. I'm not, I don't know the nuances of this decision. I can't be sure that they haven't thought of this. It seems pretty obvious that they have a secondary typeface that is easy to read in small sizes. But for some reason, they didn't choose that, which is very interesting. I don't know why, but for sure, it's not a rule. A lot of brands have extremely uh, they have very bold typefaces that they use in their like in their headlines or in their ads and things like that, but in their body copy and in smaller text or within their app or in other smaller parts of their brand and their product, they use a secondary typeface and they make it look really seamless. Let me show you an example. um, if we go to see the problem, okay, yeah, okay. If you go to Figma, I think it'll open my Figma. Yes, I thought so. Um, so how do I show you this? Okay, there we go. So Figma uses this particular typeface in its, oh, they recently changed. They seem to use the same stuff in their body and in their titles. Let me think of another example. Another example of, uh, if anyone has a good example, send it my way. But I think Discord might be using. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Discord uses this particular one, which is Ginto for its titles, headlines, and then Whitney for its body copy. So yeah, a lot of brands do this. I think even MailChimp does this. Yeah, MailChimp also does this. So they use, this must be means. Okay, yeah, this is means. Oops, this is means, and this is graphic. Um, the difference here is not that much, but yeah, there are a lot of brands that do this. It's usually the better thing to do, but for some reason Indigo has not done it. I'm not exactly sure why. Okay, let's go back. Let's take another question. Yes, clean to show that they're now focusing on safety and hygiene, right? So they were before the lean flying machine and they decided to add the clean, which is so intelligent. So yeah. And yes, absolutely, Harsha. If you noticed on that thing that I shared, this particular, the awards, they do have, the writers are part of the awards as well. So yeah, any good brand experience design team, any good brand experience is not thinking about design and copy as separate things. They are very well integrated together. They are a team that works together constantly and all the time, because that's the only way that you can think about building a really rich, thorough, consistent, good experience. So yeah, so they have been credited, which I'm glad about. Um, have they used a similar typeface in Hindi? That's actually a very good question. Let's find out. Let's do some Google searches. Indigo Hindi ads. No, so again, I think that Indigo has intentionally taken this decision of coming off as like this urban brand that writes in English, and it seems like they do not have any Hindi like Devanagari ads. They do have Hindi, kya surat hai, hilarious. But and this is not an this is just a internal document which I think needs to be in Hindi, and this seems to be some other typeface which is not ITC Bauhaus, which is why they So a lot of brands that know that they're going to have communication and their brand is going to exist in multiple languages, they decide to choose a multilingual typeface. So multilingual literally just means many languages. And what how this works is that the designers of the typeface, they decide to create a typeface keeping many different scripts in mind. I'll give you an example of this. So there is this amazing type foundry called oh wait, you can't see my screen. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, I was Kushal, I was basically showing you this. I was talking about how Indigo seems to have made this decision of not using Devanagari. They just write Hindi in English. It's called Hindi in Latin. So there are two separate things. There is, when you talk about typography, there is one thing which is the language, and then there's another thing which is the script. In some languages, the script and the language are the same. In some languages, the script and the language are different. So in Hindi, the language is Hindi and the script is Devanagari. Similarly, there are a lot of other Indian languages that use Devanagari script, but the language is different. For example, Marathi is the language, the script is still Devanagari. There are some letters which are different, but it's still Devanagari. In English, the language is English and the script is Latin. A lot of other languages have Latin script. French, Spanish, Bahasa Indonesia uses Latin. Um, not German. I think German as well. They all use Latin script. So what is happening here is that the language is Hindi. Pehle is a Hindi word, but it's written in the Latin script. So this usually is called transliteration. It's not translation. Um, when you write a word which is in another language in another script, it's called transliteration. So because you're not translating the word, if it's pehle means first, right? If you're doing a translation, then it would be first up. But they decided to keep pehle the same, so it became pehle up, which is transliteration. You can do that. I'm sure many of you have used on WhatsApp. You can change your keyboard to transliteration. So if you type in English in Latin, it will change it to Devanagari or vice versa. So yeah. So Indigo seems to have made that decision where they don't have any ads in Devanagari. This seems to be an internal safety poster, which is in another typeface that is not ITC Bauhaus. It's some other font, and that is also quite rounded. But if you notice, it does not have the same characteristics that ITC Bauhaus has, which is like this cut and stuff like that. See, they have it in Tamil, they have it in Hindi, but it doesn't have the same kind of personality exactly. So I was talking about how if you are a brand knowing very well that you are likely to have communication in multiple languages. In this case, more 90% or maybe even more of Indigo's communication seems to be in Latin. So they have only a Latin typeface. ITC Bauhaus was designed only in Latin. It's not designed in Devanagari for Hindi words and stuff like that. So every time they need to make the one-off poster communication in another language, they have to use a completely different typeface, which may or may not have the same form, same style, and things like that. But if you did have intentionally, you wanted to design, you knew that you were going to design a brand which is multi-script, multilingual, so multiple language and multiple script. That's the thing. Then there's this thing called a multi-script typeface, type family. So there are a lot of really excellent. So Typotech is a type foundry, and they design a lot of multi-script uh, typefaces. I'll tell you what that means. So now, if you notice here, November Tamil, November. Okay, let's do October. It's easier to see. So this is October. Let's open them in different tabs. October Devanagari. There should be more. Let's just search for October. Okay, there we go. All of these are part of the October family, but so they have the same style. They have the exact same style, but they're designed for different languages, for different scripts. And how this works is that if you were to use this as your brand typeface, all of the language, the scripts would work super seamlessly together. There'd be no see if you go into this PDF specimen, I'll show you how that is. See, these are all the languages that you can use October in, and they all look it's so seamless. You don't know the difference. You can't tell the difference between the Tamil one, apart from, of course, the script itself. You can't tell the difference in the style and the design. Just look at the way it is. It's been designed so well integrated and seamlessly. So if you were to design something like this, you were designing like airport signage, which usually is in multiple languages, right? You can design it like this without, you must have seen a lot of examples of when um, a text, a logo or any piece of text has been written in English and then in another language, and then the one in the other language looks really odd and it doesn't match the English one. That's usually because it's not the one in the Latin one is not a multiscript. So they can't type it out in the same font in the other language and expect the same result. So they do some kind of jugaad and like try to make it look similar, which usually does not work the same way. You can do it sometimes, but it's not really the best solution. This is a great example of how to do it well. So if you see here, everything is so seamless. This is what it looks like in Latin, and this is what it looks like in Hebrew, and it's so seamless. These are great examples of that. So yeah, if you are designing for a brand or a company or a product that is in multiple languages, multiple scripts, please try to use a multi-script type family. It will pay you a lot of rewards. So yeah, so that's an example. I just wanted to share that. Let's go back to the questions. Okay. So Kushal, I hope that answered your question. It's so cool how they were able to build so much character into standardized service and experience as opposed to service design. Yes, I think they've kind of they have very well integrated service design and brand experience design teams, and that shows, right? It shows from like Divya gave the example earlier of how polite and how nice and conversational the stewardesses and stewards are on the airlines. That's very much part of their brand experience, and I don't think they're separate from each other. And the fact that they decided to emphasize on that and make that who they like, give it importance, is what I think sets them apart in a lot of ways. What secondary typeface would I use for IndiGo? Good question. I think someone mentioned it earlier, which was it's a circular typeface. If I wanted to keep that circular kind of aesthetic going, I wanted to keep it the same way, I might use there are a few. I might use a geometric sans serif. So there are a lot of good options. Circular is the most obvious. Circular is this typeface that looks like this. It's circular, pretty standard, pretty basic. Serra is really good as well. So if you type, yeah, if you type geometric, so objectivity, good, it's free. Yeah, so there are a lot of good ones. I would use a geometric sans serif. I don't know exactly which one. I'd have to do some pairing and do some test prints and, just look at them well together. ITC Bauhaus along with this and see how they work together, and then accordingly I would choose. But I think I would go in this direction. It would match the overall brand. Yep. Yeah, I think this answers your question. Usually, good design, a lot of good design is good contrast, and it's establishing good contrast. Sometimes it's about keeping the flow smooth and consistent. In this particular case, I think that the Indigo brand is quite bold in itself. I don't think for the fact the simple logic that they use just one color along with white and black occasionally. Um, I would try to keep that no nonsense kind of thing going. So I wouldn't use a typeface that is contrasting to ITC Bauhaus. If I did, I might choose like a serif um, typeface to establish a lot of contrast between ITC Bauhaus and the secondary typeface. But in this case, because I'd want to keep that aesthetic pretty tight and pretty well integrated, I would continue to use a geometric sans serif similar to Bauhaus, but more readable. Yeah. Yes, that plugin is what font? I'm using Safari. It's available on Google Chrome as well. You can also use Font Ninja or Font Face Ninja, one of those. They're excellent. You basically how it works is if you go to any website and you hover over piece of text, it will tell you what typeface it is. If you click that, then it will tell you what the size is what the size is and what the weight is. And yeah, it tells you the name. And it also apparently tells you all of the backup typefaces. But yeah, what it's doing is basically it knows it from the CSS. So this website is built using CSS, and then it basically just finds it through that. Yeah, it's a really good plugin. Highly recommend everyone get it. It helps you discover a lot of really good typefaces on websites that you like. For example, like this particular typeface is really nice. It's white because I know it now because I'm hovering over it and it's telling me. So if I was curious to find out a really cool looking typeface that I saw somewhere, I can use this plugin and then find out what typeface it is. Then what I would do is white font or something like that. And then I find it, and here we go. Here it is. Then this is, by the way, this is my patented process of how I discover typefaces. So I first use a step-by-step process. I first use what font or font face ninja, hover over, find the name of the typeface, search for it, then come find it, find the foundry that designed it, then come here. Then I look at it, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Then I find if they have a trial font, which in this case they do have a trial font. So I decide then to click and download the trial font, and then I use it in the next design that I'm working on. If it works well, if I like it, then I decide to license it. We'll talk about licensing some other day, but yeah, I decide to license it. Um, and if it's free, then I can just use it without worrying about licensing it. That's the process. Yeah, cool. Um, wow, this is a super niche, super specific question. Suresh, I don't know how you know this. That was a student project when I was in year two in my graphic design course at NID. There was a short type design course that we had, uh, and I designed a Tamil version of this typeface called Shark Tooth. It's really bad, but since you asked, I promise I will show you. So Shark Tooth is, so the project was that we had to find like a Latin typeface and design like a Indian variation of it. So this is the original Latin one. I don't know if I can maybe just Google it. Does my name? Oh, there we go. That's me. So I designed the Tamil version of this, which is based on the Latin one. So yeah, uh, the process will take some time. So we'll do it some other time, I think, or you can message me on Twitter and I'll get back to you. Yeah, but thank you for knowing this about me. It's so weird that you know. Okay, okay. Is this true? I didn't know this. This is a new fact. Thank you, Harsha. I didn't know this already. Um, Comic Con does not come in other languages. So a lot of um, so this is again a whole different like topic, But a lot of typefaces have been designed with like a Eurocentric angle. And what that means is they design Latin versions first, and then all the other versions are designed based on Latin. But the truth is that all scripts are not based on Latin form. The shapes of Latin letters are very different from the shapes of, say, Malayalam, Tamil, whatever, Mandarin, whatever language, right? They're all very different, Arabic. And there's this new movement. If you are interested in typeface design, you should definitely listen. Actually, I would highly recommend this podcast. Please tell me this is the right side. Yes, it is. Um, Listen to this episode 28 with Kalapi Gajjar. He's a typeface designer, and he runs this uh, type foundry called Universal Thirst, and it's very cool. This studio, they design typefaces, and he talks a lot about typeface design, about this thing about multiscript, about very interesting Indic. They call these Indian languages, the scripts are called Indic scripts, INDIC. So you should definitely watch, not watch, listen to this podcast by Kaval. He's a great guy. Great podcast. Really enjoy it. Highly recommend. And yeah, this episode with Kalapi, very, very good. Very nice. I am currently listening to this, and then I will move on to Lisa's. Okay. Um, okay. Next question. Yeah, Indian movie titles. Yeah, a lot of them are are designed with the Latin one in first, and then they design the other languages. It looks really odd. Yeah, they're um, again a topic for another time. We're almost done today with our 1 hour, but we'll talk about ink traps next time and what pleasure ink trap and white, what they have in common is this quirk, this design quirk called ink traps. And I love to talk about the history of ink traps and how it has come back in style in design. It's like a new trendy thing that we're seeing in a lot of places, like pleasure ink trap, like white, and stuff like that. But the history of ink traps is awesome. So, yep, yep, yep. Um, so yeah, that's it for today. I think that was our last question. Yes, tip top type tips. Thank you all for joining, and this is really fun. I think we went into some serious deep dives, and I hope to see you next Thursday. By the way, for everyone who's interested, today we're in the last few days of Oops! Oh no! I thought it was charging. Someone changed the charger. My bad. This you know that I'm a newbie because of things like this. Uh, okay, are we back? We're back. Okay, cool. So I was saying that we're in the last few days of registering for the first BX brand experience design cohort. So yeah, if you're interested, please do join the waitlist and I'll drop you an email quickly so you can join our first cohort. We just have a few spots left. It's very exciting. I'm super excited. The cohort's going to start in August. So if you're interested, please do join or DM me on, or you can see Iggy. Um, DM me on Twitter if you're interested, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, if you're interested, hit the join the wait list. Okay, thanks, and see you guys next Thursday. And have a nice evening and have a nice weekend. Bye.